कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी चरण करत स्मरण जप नाम तेरे। अभय चरण करत स्मरण जप नाम तेरे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी चरण करत स्मरण जप नाम तेरे। अभय चरण करत स्मरण जप नाम तेरे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी क्षमा बिना दुख हारी। कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, कृपा करो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी चरण करत स्मरण, जप नाम तेरे। अभय चरण करत स्मरण, जप नाम तेरे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी चरण करत स्मरण, जप नाम तेरे। अभय चरण करत स्मरण, जप नाम तेरे। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। वंशीधारी कृष्ण मुरारी, क्षमा विनोद करारी। कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, कृपा करो नाथ मेरु मन, राखो लाज हमारे प्रभु, राखो लाज हमारे, राखो लाज हमारे Krishna Murari, Toma Vinod Korari, Vanshidhari, Krishna Murari, Toma Vinod Korari, Vanshidhari. Charan karat smaran japanam tere, abhoya charan karat smaran japanam tere.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. On behalf of ISKCON Chennai, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you. So we shall be taking up a new chapter today entitled Dhyana Yoga. So the first 24 shlokas we will take for today's discussion. So before we start, let us all pray combinedly to the Guru Parampara, to Lord Chaitanya, to Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and to Lord Sri Krishna, Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, for their blessings on all of us, so that we can cultivate Krishna Prema in our heart, which is the greatest treasure, which is coming from Goloka. We are all looking for material treasures in the form of money, etc. Excuse me, just 1 second. We are looking for material treasures in the form of name and fame, power and position, and wealth, bank balance, car, bungalow, etc. But this is a treasure which is not of this material world at all. It's coming from the spiritual world. So anything from the spiritual world is eternal, ever increasing. It never ends, it never decays. So that is the character of Krishna Prema. And that is what we are aspiring for, and that's what we are praying for. We don't want to come back into this material world again. We want to go back to Krishna and live there eternally, doing loving devotional service to Him and to all the devotees in the spiritual world. There is no reason for us to desire to come back into this material world, which is full of suffering and disappointments. So let us all pray. We'll start with Mangala Sharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Dadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuda Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Neelachara Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadra Bhyam Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sarvopanishato Gavo Dogda Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mahad. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to see the sixth chapter called Dhyana Yoga. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you for joining in this session. This sixth chapter has a special significance in the sense Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. So 18 divided by 3 gives you 6. So the first 6 chapters, the last 6 chapters, and the middle 6 chapters, they have their own uniqueness. So the first 6 chapters are something like an introduction where we came to know. It started with Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna was confused. Like all of us, we have come into this material world. We don't know from where we came. I used to wonder whenever I wake up from sleep, I will recollect the dreams what I had. In the dream, you are suddenly there in some place with some people and something is going on. You never ask, how did I come to this place? What is my connection with this place? Where was I before? In the dream, we never ask. But when I wake up, I always ask myself, how is it that I never got the question in my mind? How did I come to this place like that? In this material world, we don't know how we have come. We are completely confused unless somebody will tell us. But who can tell? Only somebody who knows can tell. But everybody is like us. They have come into this material world, but they don't even know from where they have come, what for they have come, what is the purpose of existence, why there is so much suffering in this world, what is the way to get out of this suffering. After I get out of the suffering, then what do I do? What is it that I have to do afterwards? If I am not the body, then who am I? What do I look like? What is my nature? What are my activities? Nothing is known. So somehow we are in this world and we behave as though we know everything. We claim I am very intelligent, I am very smart, I am a great achiever, I have done this, I have done that, all these things. But we don't know who we are. So such is the folly of the human mind. It completely confuses, bewilders us, and we think we are in control of everything when actually we are in control of nothing. So in that situation, the first 6 chapters give us the understanding we are not the body. Actually, we are spirit souls. There is no connection between the spirit soul and the material body. The body will one day die, spirit soul will never die. Body was born at some point of time. The soul was never born. The body keeps on growing, undergoing transformation from a little baby to young man, then middle age, then old age. Before that, they produce byproducts in the form of children, and then they become old, diseased, and die. So the material body is constantly undergoing change. The soul is never undergoing change. So Krishna is talking about how the soul is eternal, has no beginning, no end. It is always there. It has the qualities very similar to that of God. When you look at the soul, that's why Krishna says people are surprised to know the nature of the soul because it is like the God only. The quality of the soul is exactly like that of God. The only difference is the soul gets confused and thinks I am this material body. But Krishna will never make that mistake. That's why he's called Achyuta. The Lord never falls down. The Lord is never controlled by Maya. He controls Maya. So the Bhagavan or Paramatma or the super soul, he is in control of everything. Maya is his servant. But when the soul tries to make Maya into its own servant, then what happens? The soul gets trapped by Maya. The soul thinks I am controlling Maya, but actually the soul becomes trapped because all our senses are given by Maya. All the sense objects are given by Maya. All our actions are controlled by Maya. So, in that sense, we are purely bewildered. But I am giving only a brief introduction. If I go deeper, then it will take more time. But I will just say one thing. We cannot give the excuse that if everything Maya is doing, then I am not responsible for anything. Don't come to that wrong conclusion. As we go on, you will learn about all these things. So at this point of time, what I want to say, the first 6 chapters are just some kind of an introduction into how to get self-realization. In the second chapter, Krishna told, you are the soul, you are not the body. And he gave some idea about the differences between mind and between the soul and the body. But how to get that realization of the soul? We have realization of the body. Because when the body is aching, body is paining, body is hungry, body is sleepy, body is thirsty, body has some desires, we know it. We are completely identified with the body. But we have no idea about the soul. So how to appreciate the soul? How to realize the soul? How to realize the self? Because the self is the soul. How to realize the soul? Further, Krishna is telling these are the various ways: Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Nishkamya Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga. So, in this chapter, Krishna will be talking about Ashtanga Yoga. We have already talked about Nishkamya Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Sankhya Yoga. We are going to be talking about Ashtanga Yoga, and that's what here is called as Dhyana Yoga, because Dhyana is one of the angas of the Ashtanga Yoga. The purpose is Dhyana, that's why it's called Dhyana Yoga, but it actually refers to Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold yoga process, 8-step yoga process. So let us start. We have to cover 24 shlokas, so we will move a little fast, but before that, let me tell you, because I am moving fast, it's not that you will not understand something. The purpose of this chapter is Krishna wants all of us to understand that we cannot do Karma Yoga, we cannot do Jnana Yoga, we cannot do Ashtanga Yoga. These are impossible for us because they are so difficult. It requires so much control of the self. We have to give up so many things. We have to take up so many things. And we have to surrender our 24 hours to this process. It is not possible to maintain a family, fulfill our material desires, and simultaneously perform yoga. It's all difficult. So, the purpose of the first 6 chapters is to make us appreciate the need for self realization, and also to make us appreciate that Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are very, very difficult processes, even though they are approved processes for self realization, but they are meant for other yugas. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. For Kali Yuga, Nama Sankirtanam is the process. Bhakti is the process, and Bhakti also through Nama Sankirtanam is the process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is the process for the Kali Yuga. So the first 6 chapters gives you a clear understanding that I cannot do Karma Yoga, I cannot do Jnana Yoga, I cannot do Ashtanga Yoga. Arjuna will say it on our behalf to Krishna. Krishna, impossible. I cannot do these things. We will see all that. So that is the first 6 chapters. The last 6 chapters are more like jnana. Krishna will talk about the 3 modes of material nature, how the soul is under the bewilderment that I am this body, and how then the 3 modes take control of the spirit soul, and how the faith of the spirit soul is influenced by these 3 modes of nature, how the actions are influenced by the 3 modes of nature, how the demoniac people think, how divine people will think, all these distinctions of jnana that arises from self-realization. That he will talk about in the last 6 chapters, and he will conclude that Arjuna, don't worry, I have spoken so many things, but ultimately you simply surrender to me. You don't have to do anything. Always think of me, always worship me, surrender to me, become my servant. I will liberate you from all your sins. Like that, Krishna will conclude. So the middle 6 chapters are going to start from 7th chapter. 7 to 12 is the middle 6 chapters. There, Krishna will give you an introduction about himself. That's why it's kept in the center of Bhagavad Gita. Information about God. Information about God and the soul. What is the link between the God and the soul? And what are we meant to do? What is the connection between the soul and God? Why did God create? If we can use these words, actually soul is not created, but for a better word, we will say, why are the souls there? Why the souls are there? Why? What does God expect from the souls? All these understandings will come in the 6th chapter. We say from 7 to 12 chapters. By learning the 7 to 12 chapters, you will start loving Krishna. By knowing more and more about Krishna, you will start loving Krishna, and that is the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. That we should love Krishna. We should know Krishna, and by knowing Krishna, we should love Krishna. Knowing Krishna only you can love him. But once you know Krishna, it is impossible not to love him. Like you remember in the previous chapter, we saw Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Maam Shanti Mrichati. The peace formula we saw. How to become peaceful? Just by knowing Krishna, we become peaceful. Like that, the 7 to 12 chapters will give us deeper and deeper understanding of Krishna so that we can start loving him and start serving him. And once you have completed Bhagavad Gita, then it is time for you to enter into Srimad Bhagavatam. We will talk about it later. So let us start with the shlokas. I will start with the first and second shlokas. Every slide, I am approximately 2 shlokas per slide. That's how it will go. So please open your book. We will start Dhyana Yoga from shloka number 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yah Sasanyasi cha yogi cha naniragnirna chakriyah yam sanyasamiti prahur yogam tamadidhi pandava nahya sanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. So Krishna is here telling who is a sannyasi, who is a yogi. That Krishna is defining here. So Krishna says who is not a yogi and who is really a yogi. That Krishna is telling. So he defines one who performs his duties diligently. One who performs his duties diligently. That means he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or he is a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. Whatever he is, he has a set of duties. Those duties he must perform diligently, perfectly, for the pleasure of Krishna. Not because it will give him any reward. Not that the king will give some reward, or the neighbors will give some reward, or people will appreciate him, or he will get punya, not with any of those motives. He simply performs his duty as an offering to the Lord. So he is not attached to the fruits. So, who is a yogi? He performs his duties perfectly, to the best of his ability, but he is not attached to the fruits. So this is the definition of a yogi or a sannyasi. If a sannyasi simply sits in the forest with eyes closed, back straight, and not doing anything, only eating some fruits and roots and surviving, that is not the definition of a sannyasi. So let us get this very clear. Sannyasi means he is detached from all kinds of sense gratification. He is not attached to the fruits of his activities, but he always performs his duties. He is not giving up his duties by saying, I don't want to enjoy the fruits, so why should I work? I am not interested in the fruits of my duty, so why I will do my duty? I have gone beyond the duty. I have gone beyond the duty. I will not do the duty because, like you people, I am not attached to sense enjoyment. I don't want to get the fruits of my action. So that person will stop performing duty. He is not a sannyasi. That is the definition Krishna is giving. A true yogi or a true sannyasi will perform his duties but be unattached to the fruits. So let us take this very clearly into our heart. You should not mistake that somebody sitting in the forest with his eyes closed, he is only a sannyasi. He may or may not be a sannyasi because, yes, if somebody has risen to the platform, he may or may not do his duties. He may or may not do his duties. But he will not be attached to the fruits of his action. That is the test. Whether he is doing his duty or not doing his duty is not the test. The test is whether he is attached to the fruits. The second test is he attached to his work? Or does he hate his work? If he is attached to the work or if he hates the work, still he is not a sannyasi. He must do his duty only for the pleasure of the Lord. He has no attachment to enjoying the results of his work. So this must be meditated upon deeply, because this is the message for us. How to be a sannyasi in our life, how to be a yogi in our day to day life. We are grihasthas, we have families, we have responsibilities to our parents, to our children, to our spouses, to our organizations, to our neighborhood, to our community, to our nation. What is all this? So we have to correctly understand, how should I execute my duty without attachment or without aversion? I have to execute my duties. So this is the most important part. Krishna will elaborate further and further. So one who is not performing duties and not performing yajna, he is not necessarily a sannyasi. That is not the definition. If you define sannyasi or yogi as one who does not perform duties and one who does not do sacrifices, your definition is wrong. That is the message you have to get. Message is unattached to the fruits, but still performing duties. That is the definition. So, what is renunciation or sannyasa? Sannyasa means renunciation, giving up, giving up. So, what does it mean? It means the same thing as yoga. So, Krishna gives a very interesting understanding. Krishna says yoga and sannyasa are one and the same. Now, we know sannyasa. I have now already told you. Sannyasa means renunciation. Okay, what is yoga? Yoga means linking myself to the Supreme Lord, to the Creator, to the Maker. I have to link my mind, my body, my senses, my thoughts, everything I should link to that Supreme. That linking is called yoga, union, uniting. Yoga. In English, there is a word called yoke, Y-O-K-E. What is that yoke? That is linking. That comes from the word yoga. So yoga means uniting. What do you unite? You unite your soul with the Supreme Soul or the Supreme Lord, not the body. The body is already hanging on to the soul, but the soul should detach from body and attach to the Supreme Soul. That is called yoga. So what is this attaching to the spirit soul means, a Supreme Soul means? You should have no individual desires of your own. Your only desire will be to fulfill the desires of God. You will have a desire, not that you will be desireless. Your desire will be to satisfy the Lord and make Him happy. You have no other desire. The Lord's happiness is your desire. Your own personal desire is not your desire. Your own personal desire is called material desire. But when you think about the desire of God, that is transcendental desire. So we are allowed to desire transcendentally. We are not allowed to desire materially. On the bodily platform, I should have no desires. On the spiritual platform, I can have unlimited desires. That is allowed. So desirelessness is not our goal. Material desirelessness is our goal. So yoga means linking my desire with the desire of Krishna. That means I have no personal desires. So yoga also means no personal desires. Sannyasa also means no personal desires. So what is the difference? No difference. Sannyasa is yoga, yoga is sannyasa. Renunciation and yoga are the same. But there is a beautiful subtle difference you would have noticed. In sannyasa, you simply give up. But in yoga, you take up Krishna consciousness. Then automatically you give up everything material. So this is the proper renunciation. Yoga is proper renunciation, not the sannyasa what we think. That is not proper renunciation. So Prabhupada quotes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sikshashtakam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nadanam najanam nasundaryam kavitamba jagadisha kame. In Sikshashtakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, O Lord Krishna, I am your eternal servant. I neither want money from you, nor I want beautiful women for my enjoyment, nor I want lot of wealth or lot of following. I don't want any of these things. Birth after birth, I simply want to serve you with love. That's all. So that is sannyas. But this is bhakta talking. So bhakti means the highest sannyas. Because bhakta has no personal demand from Krishna. but he wants to serve Krishna and make him happy. Krishna, if he asks a devotee, what do you want? He will say, Krishna, I want your happiness. That's all. Devotee will say, Krishna, I want your happiness. But Krishna will say, no, no, I want your happiness. He will tell the devotee like that. But devotee will say, no, no, my happiness, your happiness only. So this competition is going on between Krishna and the devotee. Just as Krishna has no desires, devotee also has no desires. Devotee is so much in love with Krishna, he wants to see Krishna happy. And Krishna becomes overwhelmed when devotee gives that kind of love. So Krishna wants to reciprocate to the devotee. Oh devotee, you so much love me, you are so much attached to me. What can I give you? You are giving me so much prema. How can I reciprocate? Devotee says, oh Krishna, you be happy, that's all. I want nothing. This is the beauty of how bhakti is renunciation, how bhakti is yoga. Because a bhakta wants only Krishna's desire. That is the definition of yoga also. So we find bhakta is a sannyasi and a yogi simultaneously. No special efforts are required. Just by loving Krishna, you become a sannyasi and a yogi spontaneously. So this has to be understood. So externally acting as a sannyasi is not the test. Whether we are wearing saffron clothes, whether you are wearing a tree bark as your dress, whether you are living in the forest, you don't have any family, these are not the things. True renunciation is attaching myself to serving Krishna. That's it. So for yoga, one thing is very essential, sense gratification must be given up. Thus, yogi must first give up sense gratification. Because Krishna is the master of all senses. We should only think of serving Krishna's senses, not our own senses. That is the starting point of yoga, and that is what a bhakta always does. Next two shlokas, 3 and 4. I will try to go a little fast from here. Same subject only, Krishna will develop more and more. Aururukshur munir yogam karma karanam uchyate yogarudhasya tasyaiva shamat karanam uchyate yada hinendriyapteshu na karmashvanu sajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudhastadochyate. So Krishna is now talking about yogi, someone who is a beginner in yoga and someone who is advanced in yoga. What is the difference? So before that, I will briefly tell you what is yoga. So we are talking about Ashta Anga Yoga. Ashta means 8, Anga means parts. That means 8-part yoga system. 8-part yoga system. We are talking about that. So someone who is starting the Ashtanga Yoga process, he has to do work. That is how he will make progress. A beginner in Ashtanga Yoga must do material work, and that way he will progress. What is that material work? I will discuss in the next slide. What is that material work he has to do? But the only means for a beginner yogi is work. He must do work. Then, when he becomes elevated in the yoga process, Ashtanga Yoga, when he reaches, for example, the stage of dhyana, then he has to give up all material activities. That becomes the means. So you see, in the process, in the beginning, you have to do work. That is the means. At the elevated level, work has to be given up. Cessation of all material activities. That is the means. So you can see changes are happening in the Ashtanga Yoga process. From the beginning towards the more advanced stages, transformations are happening in terms of work. So when the yogi is advanced, he is not working for sense gratification. Now you know all of us are working for sense gratification. We are going to job, we are earning some income. Why? We want to live in a comfortable house, we want to have a nice air conditioning, we want to sleep in nice beds, we want to surround ourselves with nice television systems, home theaters, nice car, nice bungalow, and nice dresses, and nice entertainment, nice malls and other things we want to visit. So our whole life is centered around sense gratification. Our own sense gratification, as well as the sense gratification of my wife, my husband, my children, my grandchildren, my parents. It is extended sense gratification. I want them also to enjoy. I want my community to enjoy. I want my nation to enjoy. I want the whole humanity to enjoy. All these are also sense gratification only. Extended sense gratification. That's all. It's not good. It is not good. Trying to give sense gratification to others is not a very good thing. Neither I should try for sense gratification, nor I should try to give sense gratification to others. I should liberate myself from sense gratification, and I should liberate others from sense gratification. That is what we should do. So, an advanced yogi is not working for sense gratification, nor he is working for the fruits of his work. When I do work, usually I'm thinking about the fruits. But an advanced yogi is not thinking about the fruits because the fruits are material. He's not interested. He's only interested in liberation. He wants to self-realize. That is the purpose of a yogi. He wants to realize the soul. He wants to realize the super soul. So, in the beginning, he has to work. At the more advanced stage, he has to give up work. Now, in the next slide, you will see. This is called the yoga ladder. Yoga ladder. But below that, I have given the 8 angas of Ashtanga Yoga. 8 are there. Yama to Samadhi, 8 angas are there. This is why it's called Ashtanga Yoga. So the beginner will start with Yama. Yama means not the god of death. Don't misunderstand. Yama means god of death. No. Yama means self-control. Giving up. That's called Yama. Withdrawing yourself from sense pleasures. That's called Yama. What is rejected by the scriptures, you must give up. Whatever is rejected by scriptures, you must give up all those things. Like you cannot sleep late, you cannot wake up late, you cannot overeat. Like that. You should not smoke, you should not eat meat, you should not get into intoxication, you should not have illicit sex. You can imagine so many rules are there. That's called Yama. Things that you should not do. Second step is Niyama. Things that you should do. That's called Nitya Karma, Naimitika Karma. It is there in the scriptures, in the Varnashrama Dharma, in Manu Samhita. The duties are described. What you have to do daily, what time you have to get up, what time you can go to sleep, in between what you should do, what you can eat, how much you can eat, when you should eat. All these are there. Niyama, daily. Sandhya Vandanam means 3 times a day. You have to do morning, before sunrise, you have to do Sandhya Vandana. Noon, exactly sun is overhead, you should do Sandhya Vandana. Evening, when the sun is just going to set, you have to do Sandhya Vandana. Like these are all Nitya Karmas. Then Naimitika Karmas, you have to do Shraddha ceremony, you have to do every month you have to offer tarpanas to your ancestors, then you have to serve the Aditi who comes to your house, uninvited guest, Atithi. He comes to your house, you have to serve him, you have to serve your parents, you have to serve your relatives, like that, so many rules. These are Niyama, the rules of life, things to do. So do's and don'ts, that is Yama Niyama. Then only you can start Asana. Asana means sitting in a proper posture, controlling the body to sit straight, to sit erect in a posture continuously for hours. That is the purpose of asana. Not that we bend our body in so many different ways and by that we become, our muscles become strong and our health improves. That is simply a byproduct. But the aim is to sit straight with a firm body in one place without being disturbed. I should not try to bend this way, that way, back is paining, I want to shift my position. To avoid all that, you have to get asana because dhyana is not possible when the body is giving you trouble. When you are thinking of the body, how can you do asana? Do dhyana. So asana is the third step. Then pranayama, controlling the breath. Controlling the breath. For what purpose? You have to stop breathing. That is the purpose of pranayama. The purpose of pranayama is that one stage you have to stop breathing because breathing is also a disturbance. Air is going in, air is going out, air is going in, air is going out. Constant movement is happening. Lungs are expanding, lungs are contracting, heart is beating, dub, 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 dub. Diaphragm is going up, down. Body is moving because of breath. Stop the breath. Possible, no? Don't think when I stop my breath, I will die. No, there is a process for that. So there is pranayama. Once the prana means the life breath, life air, that is controlled. Then pratyahara. What happens? The senses are withdrawn. The eyes don't see external things. Ears don't hear external sounds. Nose doesn't smell external smells. Like that, the senses become withdrawn. The energy is not going out through the senses, no leakage of energy through the senses. Senses are controlled, that is pratyahara. Then mind becomes focused on one thing, that's called dharana. Like, if you focus the light through the lens, what will happen? You can burn anything. When the sun's rays are focused through a lens, you can burn anything. Like that dharana, the mind becomes focused because no distraction by the breath, by the senses, by the body, by anything. That is pratyahara, dharana. After dharana, when you are able to control your mind, then you have to focus that mind on Krishna, Paramatma within. The Chaturbuja form of the Lord, who is a Paramatma in our heart, we have to focus on that. So what is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga? To reach this stage of dhyana. To reach the stage of dhyana is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga. Dhyana means you are focusing your mind completely on God without any distraction. That is called dhyana. So the Ashtanga Yoga purpose is dhyana, to achieve dhyana, to remember Krishna. So that seems to be like bhakti. But Ashtanga Yoga is a mechanical process by which you want to attain that level where you can focus on Krishna. Bhakti is a different path where you focus on Krishna very naturally. But here it is more like a mechanical process. You come to the stage of dhyana. Then what happens? By practicing dhyana continuously, you get into samadhi. In the stage of samadhi, you are never distracted. You remain lost in Krishna. You forget yourself. You only remember Krishna. That is the stage of samadhi. So the perfection of dhyana is samadhi. Now you can see the beginner is doing work at the stage of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. Up to this stage he is doing work. That's why Krishna said, in the beginning you have to do work. But an elevated yogi at the stage of dhyana, no more work. He is simply enjoying within the form of the Lord at the stage of dhyana and samadhi. So advanced yogi gives up action. Beginner yogi has to perform action. This is what Krishna meant earlier. Now let us see the shloka number 5 onwards. Very interesting shloka. This shloka number 5 and 6 can be memorized. Very nice shloka. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanah bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvad. Krishna is describing the mind. Are we all not very keen to control our mind? We are so desperate to control our mind because the mind is so obstinate. It is dragging us in all directions. When we sit for doing japa, when we sit for meditating on Krishna, when we sit for listening to some nice lectures, our mind is traveling all over the place. So mind is giving a lot of trouble. So Krishna is talking about mind in the next few shlokas. So here Krishna says, mind is your friend when it is conquered. So our mind is actually our friend when it is conquered. We are all conditioned souls, thinking I am the body. So for us, mind becomes a friend when we conquer that mind. What is conquering the mind? Mind should obey our instructions, not the other way. We obey the instructions of the mind. Mind should, if I say mind, sit quietly, mind should sit quietly. If I say mind, think about this only, then mind should only think about that. If I say mind, don't think about something, then it should not think about it. That kind of mind is what we want. If I tell my mind, this is what I want you to achieve, then the mind should completely focus on achieving that. That is what we want. So when I have a mind like that, it is a friend. But when I have not conquered the mind, it is my worst enemy. So Krishna is introducing Arjuna to his best friend and the worst enemy also. Two people Krishna is introducing at the same time. The worst enemy is your uncontrolled mind. Your best friend is your controlled mind. And where is the mind? It is within me. So as an enemy who is so close to me, I am lost, is it not? If you have somebody so close, but he is your enemy, what is your fate? If your worst enemy is so close to you all the time, what will happen to you? Whereas if your best friend, a powerful friend, is always with you, What can stop you from achieving great things? So Krishna is telling the potential of the mind. It can do great harm or it can do great benefit. Both things mind can do. So it is in our hands. Mind is my instrument. I can make it my enemy or I can make it my best friend. It is in my hands. So what am I going to do? I am going to come into satsanga. I am going to stay with devotees. I am going to take their guidance. I am going to chant the names of Lord Krishna continuously so that my mind will be completely tamed and it will become my best friend. That is my purpose, to conquer my mind. So, mind is our friend as well as enemy. We must use mind to elevate our consciousness, not to degrade our consciousness. If you ask the psychologists today, so sad that our psychologists are constantly saying pornography is not bad. Watching sexy movies, violent crime is not wrong. Reading such fiction novels that deal with crime, that deal with immoral, unethical behavior, is not bad. Actually, these are all healthy outlets. To have a few relationships outside of marriage is not a crime. You can do. Before getting married, if you want to experiment with a few partners, what is wrong? This is what psychologists are saying today. That means the psychologists themselves will ruin their own life also. There is no hope for them if they believe in this philosophy. Or if they teach this philosophy to others, they will ruin the lives of so many others. So psychology as a branch of science is doing great harm to the people by saying all these things are healthy. By controlling the mind, you can give up all these things very easily and be happy. Just by coming into the association of devotees and taking the assistance of the scriptures, you can give up these things. Psychologists are believing it is not possible to give up all these things. Intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, pornography, all this, they feel, no, how can we give up and live? We are born for that. So how can I recommend my patients to give up? They are already in great depression. But if I give them a recommendation like this, they will destroy completely. They will think like that because they have been taught in their universities like that. No, we are born sinners. We are all born sinners. We will continue to be sinners. There is no hope. We cannot become sinless. So let us forget about sin. Because if I think about sin, I become very disturbed. I become depressed. I may go to hell and I may burn eternally in fire. So don't think about sin. Let us deny. Like the ostrich. When the ostrich is in the desert and sees the enemy approaching, the ostrich will put the head into the sand and think that there is no enemy. Or the cat will think when the dog is chasing, cat will close its eyes and think there is no enemy now. That is the way psychologists are recommending. That is the way they see it. That to avoid sin, they feel impossible. So, but here clearly Krishna is telling, elevate yourself with the help of your mind. Don't denigrate yourself, degrade yourself with your mind. So clearly, if we have developed some bad habits in the past, it is high time we start struggling to give them up by taking up something higher, a superior taste. We should go after that by coming in contact with devotees, by visiting to the temple, by reading the scriptures in the association of devotees, asking questions, taking really implementing these things in my life to better habits I have to implement, and I should transform my life. This is desperate need now. Psychologists will say, no, right now you enjoy more and more and more. Whatever is possible, you enjoy. Only thing, if something is prohibited in law, take care. But if it is not prohibited in law, do everything. And today, hardly anything is prohibited in law. Okay, you should not kill somebody, that's all. Everything else you can do. You cannot take another man's property. Today, very odd things are coming out from the executive, from the judiciary, from the legislature. Odd thinking is coming because they feel, I don't need Bhagavad Gita. I am Krishna. I can give my own philosophy. But when people give their own philosophy, there is no hope for them. And there is no hope for those who follow them. those who voted them, those who elected them, what is the hope for them? So we have to take control of our life. How? By coming in contact with devotees. That is the only way we can save ourselves. Otherwise, both this life, our future lives will be ruined forever. This precious human form of life, we got it, we will be wasting it. So I am giving you the assurance it is very much possible to give up sin. Not that, no, I am so much used to sin, I cannot give it up, I don't want to give it up. No, it's not ever a hopeless situation, because the free will, what is within us, is given by Krishna. It is never taken back. The free will given to us is forever. Even if you become the worst criminal, the free will from you will never be taken up. That means even the worst criminal can, in a moment, decide, I give up all crime. I want to become a devotee. It can be done. They have done it. They have done it. So this is the message here. 7-8. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitah शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः ज्ञान विज्ञान तृप्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रियः युक्त इत्युच्यते योगी समलोष्टास्म काञ्चनः. Amazing points Krishna is giving. When the mind is conquered, you have already reached the super soul. You are a soul, but when you have conquered the mind, then you are already approaching the super soul. Super soul is God. So the soul is able to approach God simply by giving up the disturbance of the mind. Super soul is reached. And when you are reaching the super soul, you get peace. Why? Because super soul is always peaceful. Even though super soul is in everything, but it is not influenced by what is going on around. We are influenced. When there is a flood, when there is a fire, when there is an accident, or when there is some kind of a misery, disease, etc., we become disturbed. But super soul is within every body, but it is always peaceful, just watching. And we will also become like that if our mind is controlled. If our mind is conquered, we become peaceful, and every situation we see equally. What is that? Whether it is profit or loss to me, whether it is victory or defeat to me, whether it is pleasure or pain to me, equal. I am equal in all situations. So such a person who is fully satisfied by the knowledge. What is that knowledge? I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. I am eternally the servant of Krishna. That knowledge. And then what happens to that knowledge? He realizes that knowledge, self-realization. So here you see the distinction. First it is theory. I am not the body, I am spiritual, I am servant of Krishna. We believe that. We believe that. Shraddha. That is the beginning. But then as you go on doing the practice of bhakti, you realize your soul. You experience your soul. That means you get in touch with yourself for the first time. That is called self-realization. That is joy. To actually realize the self is great joy, unending joy. Actually, that is only liberation. So Krishna is talking about that. Such a person who has conquered the mind, he experiences the self and he is always satisfied and joyful. Such a person is transcendental, beyond the gunas. And for him, pebbles or stones or gold are the same. No distinction. Gold and sand is the same for him. 9th shloka. Suhrinmitrari udasina madhyastha dveshya bandhushu sadhushvavicha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. This is going one step higher. Earlier we said pebbles and gold are the same. Here Krishna gives more, even more advanced yogi. For them, whether there is a friend or an enemy, same. Somebody is friend, somebody is enemy, somebody is neutral, same. Somebody is a mediator trying to bring together opposing parties, he is same towards them. Somebody is a well-wisher, same. Somebody is actively helping you, same. Somebody is a pious man, somebody is a sinner, same. Everything is equal for a more advanced yogi. That means he sees Krishna everywhere. He sees Krishna inside everything. He sees the jata, the matter operating, and the super soul watching. This he sees. An advanced yogi sees matter and spirit as separate. Matter is doing everything and spirit is simply untouched, like a water on a lotus leaf. So an advanced yogi sees everything equally. Seeing gold and pebble equally is a good stage of advancement. But even beyond, among people, you don't make any distinction. Good and bad, near, I love somebody, I hate somebody, no such thing. So in this picture, what you are seeing is Yudhishthira Maharaj, you would have noticed, the Pancha Pandavas, the eldest of the Pandavas, and he is face to face with Yamadharmaraja. Yamadharmaraja actually came in disguise and he asked a lot of questions to Dharmaraj. And Dharmaraj answered them perfectly, patiently, from his heart. By seeing the answers, Dharmaraja became very satisfied and then gave his darshan to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj has another name you can write down, Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means one for whom the enemy is not even born. Enemy-less person. How is it possible? You may ask, in Mahabharata, Pandavas had so many enemies, but from Yudhishthir's point of view, nobody was his enemy. He was friend to everyone. He was willing to give up the kingdom also for Duryodhana. The only problem is, as a Kshatriya, I must perform my duty. So only for that purpose he had to fight. Otherwise, he never wanted fight. He is friend of everyone, just as Krishna is friend of everyone. A pure devotee is also friend of everyone. So that way, Yudhishthira Maharaj is a very advanced yogi. You may ask, did he do Ashtanga Yoga? We will come to that in the next week's class. So he's not a yogi, he's a bhakta. But bhakta is the highest yogi. We will see that in the next class. So everything becomes same for him. 10 to 12. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekagi yada chittatma nirashir aparigrahah शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरम आसनम आत्मनः नात्विच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं शैलाजिनकुशोत्तरं तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यत चित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्जात् योगमात्मविशुद्धये. So now Krishna is going to say how to perform Ashtanga Yoga. Very crisply Krishna will speak. And just by seeing this, you will say, sorry sir, I don't want Ashtanga Yoga. Let us start. So the yogi should always engage mind, body and the soul in the Supreme. How to do that? Mind, body, soul, it should be engaged in the Supreme. How to do that? For that, the yogi must live alone. Can you do that? The yogi must live alone, isolated. He should control the mind and become free from desires and all desires to possess. Greed. No greed, no lust. He should become like that, free from lust and greed, and he should control the mind, live alone. So yogi should stay in a secluded place. That means forest only. Yogi should go to the forest. Sacred place, but what kind of forest? Vrindavan forest. He should go to Vrindavan, holy place, sacred place. Dwaraka, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, Navadvip. Like that he should go to holy places. Badrinath, like that he should go to holy places. And what he should do in the forest? He should prepare his seat. How? Kusha grass. Kusha, we say darbha. That grass he has to spread. On the grass, he must put the deer skin. And on the deer skin, he should spread a soft cloth and he should sit on that. So this is preparing the asana. How to sit? He has to prepare like this. So Shastras say, you should not live in a place where there is no kusha grass. That is how important it is. Kusha grass helps you to develop equanimity, to become free from the influence of the earth, become free from the force of the gravity. Kusha grass can free you from that. And deer skin and soft cloth. All these things will protect you from negative energies around you. Then the seat must not be too high or too low. It should not be too high. Then you may fall down. You may be afraid. When I close my eyes, what if I sleep and fall down? If it is too low, you may be afraid snakes will come, insects will come. So neither too high nor too low. And on that asana, you should sit firmly because you have already done yama, niyama, asana. You have practiced asana. So now you can sit firmly. And by yoga, you must purify the heart. What is that? Pranayama pratyahara. Sitting firmly, By pranayama pratyahara, you should purify the heart and control the mind and senses and all your activities. And then you should enter into dharana. Dharana means become focused. So Krishna is giving many steps in this place. What is that? Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. All this is in this one step Krishna is giving. Then what you have to do? 13, 14. Samam thaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam sthiraha sampreksha nashikagram svam ishaschanavalokayan prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vriteshchidaha manasam yam achitto yukta asita matparaha. Then after that what he has to do? Keeping his body straight, he should look at the tip of the nose. Tip of the nose, it can either be the root of the nose, that's called bhrumadhi. The middle of the eyebrows, that is bhrumadhi. You can focus there. Or some people say tip of the nose, you will focus on that. That means the eyes should neither be fully open nor it should be fully closed. The black eyeballs should be either looking towards the tip of the nose or it should be going inside the eyelids, looking up. You would have seen many pictures where the yogis are sitting with the black eyeballs have gone up. Or like you have seen Buddha, the eyes are half closed. You cannot see the eyeballs, eyes are half closed. So like that, Krishna is saying you have to sit like that. By focusing the eyes, external influences cannot act upon you. So that's what Krishna is telling. Then his mind must be unagitated. Because you have already practiced pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, your mind is unagitated, subdued. That means mind is not acting independently. It is listening to your instructions, subdued, fearless. What is the fear? Fear of anything. Fear of death or fear of being attacked by Maya. That mind is quiet, so it has no fear. It is peaceful. It is sitting in a completely controlled way and free of sex life, brahmacharya. Now, you tell me, how many of us are qualified to perform yoga? Free of sex life. So Prabhupada says, as far as Ashtanga Yoga is concerned, Grihasthas are not qualified to do it because Grihastha life means sex life. Even though a regulated sex life is practiced by Grihastha, even then he is not qualified for Ashtanga Yoga. Regulated sex life. Like Krishna says, Dharma abhiviruddha kamesha. If you have sex which is within the rules of Dharma, then Krishna says, I am that sex life. What is that sex life? That sex life is meant for producing God-conscious children. So the purpose of sex is only to produce children, no other purpose. One should be very clear about it. Today the whole world is thinking sex is the goal of life. No. Reproduction is the goal of life. And the reproduction also not like cats and dogs. We should produce God-conscious children. That is the purpose of sex life. If you cannot do that, Prabhupada says don't marry. If you cannot have a regulated sex life, if you cannot be responsible to produce God-conscious children and bring them up like that, then don't have sex. Don't have marriage and no sex in life. Such a person should be actually a brahmachari. But if you want to marry, then it should be, you have to accept the regulations what Krishna is giving. So brahmacharya is necessary for Ashtanga Yoga. Today there are so many yoga schools, they don't say like this, that you have to do brahmacharya, that you have to stay isolated. They don't say. That means the yoga schools of today, they are not interested in yoga really. They are only interested in money. They are only interested in your pocket. How I can collect some money from this man. The purpose of yoga is to unite the soul with God. Otherwise it is not yoga. Then why do you call your school yoga school? You are not a yoga school. You can say I am a asana school. You can say I am a pranayama school. But don't call yourself a yoga school. That is completely misleading. As you saw the yoga, the 8-step yoga, purpose is to unite with God. So, in this way, by focusing on Krishna as the ultimate goal of life, the yogi is performing the yoga. The goal is reaching Paramatma or Krishna. That is the goal of the yogi. Now, 15 to 17. Vinjanevam satatmanam yogi niyata manasah shantim nirvana paramam matsam sthamadi gacchati नात्यश्नतस्तु योगोऽस्ति न चैकान्तम् अनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जागृतो नैव चार्जुन युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. So Krishna is telling here, you have to completely control the mind, practice controlling the mind, body and activities, and such a person is eligible to enter the kingdom of God. So without controlling mind, body and your activities, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. So the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga is to enter into the kingdom of God by controlling the mind. So excessive eating and excessive sleeping will not help you to advance. You should not sleep late, you should not wake up late. Rather, you should eat, you should sleep early, wake up early. Together. Junk food, there is no room at all for junk food for a yogi. You cannot eat for taste. You cannot eat something that is not offered to Krishna. You cannot eat onion, garlic, coffee, tea, chocolates. Only what is accepted by Krishna is fit for eating for a yogi, and that too not too much. Only as much as necessary to keep the body and soul together. So eating, sleeping too much or too little, you cannot go on fasting whimsically. That's not allowed. You can fast for Ekadashi or on special days like Janmashtami, Ram Navami, etc. But you cannot whimsically, today I will fast, not allowed. Or for some political purposes, you cannot go on a satyagraha, I will fast for 10 days until the government will listen to what I say. Not allowed. That's all tamasic. Eating, sleeping, etc. all are meant for serving God only. So then yogi must regulate his eating and sleeping. Same way, recreation and work must be mitigated, regulated. Only to the extent absolutely necessary, not beyond that. So this way, the yogi becomes completely balanced in his way of life. So these are the things. Simply going to a yoga school, how can one become a yogi? So 18 to 19. यदा विनीतं चित्तम् आत्मन्येवावतिष्ठते निःस्पृहः सर्वकामेभ्यो युक्त इत्युच्यते तदा यथा दीपो निवातस्थो नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यत चित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः. Here Prabhupada is giving the example of Ambarish Maharaj. I have already told you the story of Ambarish Maharaj. A powerful yogi like Durvas Muni, he was trying to kill him, but Ambarish Maharaj was not disturbed. But when the Sudarshana Chakra started attacking Durvas Muni, he is a great yogi. He started running everywhere to save his life. But when the fire demon was unleashed by Durvas Muni to kill Ambarish Maharaj, he did not run away. You can see in the picture, he is not even disturbed. He is very politely, humbly folding his hands and praying to Durvas Muni to become peaceful. He is not afraid that he will be killed. Because as far as a devotee is concerned, whether he is alive or dead, he will only serve Krishna. If I am alive in this body, I will serve Krishna. When I am dead, I will go back to Goloka and serve Krishna. For me, there is no other purpose in life or death. I only want to serve Krishna. That way, Ambarish Maharaj, as a pure devotee, was undisturbed. But Durvas Muni, as a very advanced yogi, he was still not peaceful. You can take this clear contrast in this case. Durvas Muni is a great so-called yogi, but Ambarish Maharaj was not a yogi, simply a devotee king, emperor. But he was more powerful than Durvas Muni. And so Krishna is giving this example of a lamp in a windless place. How the flame will burn steady. Like that, the yogi should do his meditation. Because of the controlled mind, in the meditation, the image of Krishna will be in his heart and it will not be disturbed. Like the flame of a lamp in a windless place, the image of Krishna in the heart of the yogi will be steady. He will be constantly 24 hours meditating on the beautiful form of Krishna in his heart. That is a yogi. So now you see where the yogi and bhakta come together? In Krishna. Same thing with karma yogi or jnana yogi. They all come together in Krishna. If they don't, then the karma is useless, then the jnana is useless, then the Ashtanga Yoga is useless. But the Bhakta, right from the beginning, his focus is only Krishna. That way, Bhakti is transcendental from the very beginning. But in yoga, you see the first few steps are all material. Only at the stage of dhyana, you become transcendental. Till that time, you are still in very material platform. But for a devotee, even a beginner becomes transcendental because he's only trying to serve Krishna. So these points we have to take deeply into the heart. So here we are seeing happily devotees are walking and doing Nagar Sankirtan, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Their mind is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. They are absorbed in the wonderful name, the qualities, the pastimes of the Lord. And that way they are completely peaceful and joyful. This is what bhakti means. So bhakti means automatically perfection of yoga. That is the message we have to take. 20 to 23 shlokas I will read. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatman atmanam ashyan atmani tushyati sukham atyantikam yattat buddhi grahyamati indriyam eti yatra na chaivayam sthidas chalati tatvatah yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga sanghitam. So here Krishna says, we have already seen the 8 steps of yoga. The highest stage is called samadhi. So here we are talking about samadhi. It's called trance in English. At the stage of trance or samadhi, the yogi's mind has no material activity at all. That means the yogi's mind is not thinking about the body only. The mind has become free from the body, separated from the body. Then what is the mind thinking? The mind is only focusing on the self, the soul, and the super soul. The mind is only reflecting the soul and the super soul and enjoying. The pure mind is enjoying the experience of the self. So please understand, our greatest happiness is enjoying the self, which is within. It doesn't cost any money. To enjoy the self, how much money does it cost? To enjoy externally, you need money. But enjoy internally, no money is required. That means spiritual process doesn't require money at all. It doesn't need any finance. That way you become fearless because you are not dependent on anything. As far as transcendental path is concerned, you are not dependent on anything. You are completely independent. Or you are dependent on Krishna. Actually, it is the same thing. Dependence on Krishna is independence because you are not depending on anyone else, anything else. You are exclusively depending on Krishna. That way you become independent. Okay. So that way he is enjoying the self and he experiences boundless bliss through transcendental senses. Here also, lack of time, but note this phrase, transcendental senses. That means don't think when you die you will have no senses. Oh, when I am alive only, I have my eyes, I have my ears, because all the senses are in the body. We think like that. We think the senses are present in the body, but it's not true. The senses are present with the soul. That means when the soul is in the body, it is operating through the senses of the material body. But when the soul is free from the body, it will operate through transcendental senses. We will explain it in future classes, but just remember, the soul is not without senses. Rather, soul has got transcendental senses, far more powerful than the senses of this body. You all know when we become old, our senses become useless. Eyes cannot see, ears cannot hear, nose cannot smell, tongue cannot taste, skins cannot feel. Our senses become weak and fragile as we become old. But transcendental senses are always powerful. Even in our own experience, in dream, we experience everything with our senses. But those senses are not in the body. They are in the subtle body. Similarly, even beyond the subtle body, we have transcendental senses. The experiences we get in our dream, that is not transcendental experience. That is also material experience only, but more subtle, more subtle. But here we are talking about transcendental senses, means the senses which are in the soul, not in the mind. It is in the soul. So such a devotee never departs from this truth. What is truth? Hare Krishna. Kindly put it on mute. Yeah, thank you. So, the yogi never departs from Krishna. That's what it means. Truth means always remember Krishna. Supreme truth, absolute truth, that is only Krishna. So the yogi never moves away from Krishna, understanding that there is no higher joy than the self. Please understand the self, the super self, and Krishna, they are completely transcendental. The self, the super self, and Krishna. Self means my soul, super self means Paramatma, and Krishna means Bhagavan. All these are transcendental. Everything else in this world is material. Please remember that. So the yogi never comes down to the material platform, he is always in the transcendental platform. And this is actual freedom. Freedom from material consciousness is really freedom. Nothing else is freedom. Having a lot of money in the bank is not freedom. Becoming the president of the nation is not freedom. Having a strong body, having a lot of followers, having a lot of fame, that is not freedom. Real freedom is freedom from material consciousness. And he is no longer affected by the contact of the senses and sense objects. That is a real yogi. And that is true about a bhakta also. Please wait for the next class. I will give you a greater understanding of bhakta and yogi. Very amazing, very amazing. So now the last shloka for today is 24th shloka. We will close with that. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam tyaktva sarvana sheshatah manasaivendriyagramam viniyamya samantataha. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires, born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides with the mind. So this is Krishna's advice to the transcendental seeker, for all of us, those who want to progress towards self-realization. Krishna says, engage in the practice of yoga. Now you may ask, but just now we told yoga is very difficult, and Krishna is saying engage in practice of yoga. It will be explained in greater detail in next class that the yoga that Krishna means here is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, not the Ashtanga Yoga. Engage in practice of Ashtanga Yoga, no, Bhakti Yoga, with faith and determination. Faith means you should have faith in the scriptures, faith in the words of the Acharyas, faith in the Parampara. Then determination. You should decide from now onwards, I am going to focus myself completely on this path. I will do the needful as far as my personal maintenance is concerned to keep my body and soul together. I will work minimum necessary to keep my body and soul together. But the rest of my time, I will give it for spiritual progress. I will give up all forms of sense gratification. I will give up working for fruitive results. I will only work for the pleasure of Krishna. In his service only I will work. Like that we have to decide. And then we should give up all material desires coming from mental speculation. What is mental speculation? First of all, I have to accept that I am the body. Then all kinds of material desires will come. So by giving up that I am the material body, that consciousness, you will give up all such desires. Thus, we will control the senses on all sides by the mind. How? Because the mind is purified and focused on the Paramatma, the senses become completely controlled. So this is the message here. And you would have noticed in almost all the slides I have given the picture of Srila Prabhupada, because I want to drive home the message that here is the perfect yogi. Prabhupada never did Ashtanga Yoga. Though Prabhupada knew everything about Ashtanga Yoga, but he said, no, that's not for you. Don't worry. You just do Bhakti. And Bhakti will take you to the highest level of Samadhi in no time. How? What is Samadhi? When the devotee is working for Krishna, all the time thinking, how can I serve Krishna? That is actually Samadhi. The devotee is not thinking about his sense gratification. He forgets that. He forgets his own body. He is so much focused on giving pleasure to Krishna. That is actually Samadhi. So even though a devotee is constantly working, he is actually in samadhi. So that is what Prabhupada gave. Whereas we saw in Ashtanga Yoga, samadhi is the last step in Ashtanga Yoga, highest step in Ashtanga Yoga. But Bhakta is very quickly achieving that stage. So that is the message. So we will end the class at this point of time. Let us all chant the Mahamantra together, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranams Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranams.
Mataji, sorry Prabhuji.
Yes.
Why the yogis use deer skin as a asan? Why is it allowed? Is it not an offense? Killing an animal and then only using the skin?
No. But even if you don't kill, deers will die.
Okay.
Okay. So deer also die.
Yeah, that is okay. That is removed after that.
Naturally, when the animal dies, the skin will only be left. The rest of it will be eaten by other wild animals, etc.
Okay, then it is.
The skin will desiccate, become dried up.
Okay. That is not an offense. Okay.
No, you don't imagine rishis going with bow and arrow and hunting.
No.
Hare Krishna. Actually, there are plenty of deer in the forest. Nowadays, we have destroyed all forests. But in the forest, there is plenty of deer. They are also food for the lions and tigers and such other carnivorous animals. Plenty of deer will be there in any forest, any normal forest. Now, our scriptures say, a place where there is no kusha grass or a place where there is no this nil deer, don't live there. That is the recommendation. Such places are not pure. Bhagavatam says, a place where there is no kusha grass or there is no deer, that place is impure. Hare Krishna. Yes, Kalikumar Ghosh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
One question comes in my mind. We see millions of sadhus, sannyasis in Himalaya.
Yes.
Mostly those sannyasis and many others.
Yes.
Which category do they belong? Are they all Ashtanga yogi?
Actually, Ashtanga Yoga was given by Patanjali. Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga basically talks about focusing on the Paramatma, Chitta, Vriddha, Niruddhi. We have to stop the movement of the mind. Chitta is actually an element, just like earth, water, fire, air, like that Chitta is a more subtle element which is operating the mind. So Patanjali talks about stopping the activity of the Chitta and then focusing on the Paramatma. That is Patanjali Yoga. But then there are so many other yogas like chakra meditation. Like we have got the chakra starting from Muladhara, Swatisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agya. Then we have Sahasrara. So the yogi will raise the Kundalini, which is a coiled up energy in the form of a snake, 2.5 coils like that they say. From the Muladhara, it will rise up through the spinal cord and will come to this point where the yogi will focus. He will bring his soul at this point and then he can break the Sahasrara, or they call it the Amrita Kalash. Sahasrara means 1,000-petaled lotus. Then through this Brahma Randra, there is one small invisible hole on the top of her skull. Through that the soul will be liberated. So this is a process they call chakra meditation. Somebody will say energy meditation. Somebody will say Sahaja Yoga. Somebody will say Vipassana meditation. But all these are simply branches of that. But if they don't talk about uniting the soul with Paramatma, then it is a cheating kind of yoga. That's not yoga at all. People may be doing anything. Why should we know? See, today, for example, I don't want to take the names of religions because some people may be offended, but there are so many different, within one religion, which was started by one founder, we find so many places of worship, they don't agree with each other. On the basic scripture itself, they don't agree. They interpret it in so many ways. So similarly, yoga also has become, somebody will teach only asana and they will say it is yoga. Somebody will teach only pranayama and they will say it is yoga. Somebody will, all kinds of things. So Reiki, they will say this is yoga. So the essence of yoga has been lost. That is the way Kali Yuga operates. Yoga, as I told, yoke, to unite the soul with super soul. That's the purpose of yoga. So if they are not doing it, then it is not yoga only. If they don't talk about Paramatma, if they don't talk about the Atma, if they don't talk about the goal of yoga, then they are not teaching yoga. That we should be very clear. They may be doing many things. Somebody may be levitating from the earth, some 6 inches, they may float in the air, or somebody may eat glass, or somebody may just open the hand and produce so much of ash. These are all called siddhis. Either they are tricks or they are some siddhis, but they are nothing to do with spirituality. These are all simply manipulating the energies of material nature. For us, it looks amazing, wonderful. But for them, they know what they are doing. They are simply manipulating the energies of nature. Like somebody can play card tricks by practicing the sleight of hand. They can play in such a way that you will think it is magic, but it's not actually magic. It is only by sleight of hand, a lot of practice. Similarly, yoga also, you can get different skills by practicing, but they are all distracted from the main path. Maybe it will take several lifetimes for them to come back to the right path. In the meantime, they will suffer a lot. But this eightfold path, what I described from Yama to Samadhi, that is really Ashtanga Yoga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranams, Dandavad. Very wonderful class. Thank you for the nice class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please, can you elaborate about this? We must not satisfy our senses, but Krishna's senses. Can you give some examples of Krishna's senses and how to satisfy Krishna's senses? Thank you, Prabhu.
Amazing. I am really happy that you caught that point.
Thank you, Prabhu.
It's really amazing you caught that point, because I just mentioned it in passing. I did not even dwell on that, but you really caught on that. So thank you so much for being so observant. So actually, there is only one Purusha, Mataji. Purusha means enjoyer. The meaning of the word Purusha is enjoyer. So there is only one Purusha. He is the primordial person. He is Krishna. He was the only one there before time was created. Krishna took the form of time to set in motion the material world. Before that, only Krishna was there. Material world was not there. So, he is the only enjoyer. The meaning of Purusha is enjoyer. The meaning of Prakriti is feminine gender. Purusha is masculine. Prakriti is feminine. Prakriti is the energy of the Purusha. You know, Shakti and Shaktiman are not different, but still Shakti is under the control of Shaktiman. Even though Shakti is integral to Shaktiman, but still Shakti is enjoyed by Shaktiman. So please understand that. So all Shaktis are there only to be enjoyed by the Shaktiman, and Krishna being the only Purusha. And there are broadly two Shaktis for us. That is, one is the material energy, the unconscious matter. Bhumi apvanalo vayu kammana buddhi revacha ahankari yamme bhinna prakritirashtada. Krishna would say, earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these are my separated energies. Bhinna prakriti. These are energies that I have separated using my will from me for my enjoyment. And then Krishna would say, there is still a higher prakriti, Arjuna. What is that higher prakriti? Jiva bhutam mahabaho. Yayetam dharyate jagat. Those souls which are trying to manipulate and enjoy this material energy, unconscious material energy, they are the souls. They are my superior energy. So they are also Prakriti, mind you. So the matter is Prakriti, the Jiva is Prakriti. And what for this Prakriti is there? To be enjoyed by Krishna. And it is Krishna who created the senses, the objects of the senses, and the process of uniting the senses with the sense objects and the pleasure that comes out of it, everything is Krishna only. So this consciousness we have to develop, that I am a prakriti to be enjoyed by Krishna. The matter around me and the souls which are trying to enjoy the matter, they are all actually meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. So we have to develop the consciousness. See, whether we are men or women, we all have the sense of enjoyership, right? We think I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor, I am the controller. So that way, it is not a matter of whether we are woman or man body. Our body may be man or woman body, but we are prakriti. If I have the consciousness that I am meant to be enjoyed by Krishna, then I become prakriti. When I think I am here to enjoy, then I become Purusha. When I become Purusha, I become competitor to Krishna. And can we win? Any chance? No way.
No.
Because we are not uniting our desire to the desire of Krishna. As long as I have desires independent of Krishna, I will suffer. But when I unite my desire with the desire of Krishna, then I am free. And that is what is recommended by saying, Rishikena Rishikesha Shevanam Bhakti Rukshate. Rishika means our senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Shevanam. Rishikesh means Krishna. What is the meaning of Rishikesh? The master of the senses. So my senses, I must use for the pleasure of the master of the senses. How I can use that? Look at Ambarish Maharaj history. Just read the story of Ambarish Maharaj. You will know exactly how to use the senses in the service of the Lord. Thank you, Mataji. I am just giving you a very brief explanation of your question. We can have a whole session or more than one session on this topic. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the nice explanation. Thank you so much. Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada. We are all obliged to Srila Prabhupada. I am a very dull-headed person. But Prabhupada, by his constant mercy, has been drilling it down into my heart. Maybe I have understood 1% of what he means to say. Just by surrendering ourselves to the lotus feet of the Parampara, there is so much more understanding we can all get, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo namo namaha. Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Looking forward to meet all of you next week.
Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.